Good morning, good morning. What is up, folks? JT here with another Xtrades FOMO live stream. It is Tuesday, June the 17th. Let's get started. Let me get my screen sharing going here for Discord. There we go. Screen sharing, everything looks good on the YouTube side of things. Fantastic. All right, let me get... Copy link. Here we go. All right, got that posted in the main chat. Let's get some folks in here and then we'll get started. All right, excuse me. Good morning to the folks on YouTube. Good morning to the Xtrades Discord community. All right, so let's dig in. Let's start talking about this a little bit. Nobody in the stream this morning. That's weird. I'll give folks a second to join. If you're live with us on YouTube, please chime in. Please say hello so we know you are with us and ready to go this morning. Although, if I'm just going to sit here and do this solo, it's not going to be much of a live stream. I wonder where everybody is at this morning. It's on the calendar. That's very weird. All right, well, maybe I'm just going to dive into this solo while we wait for a couple people to join. I see viewers starting to come in on the YouTube side of things. We'll let the Xtrades Discord community catch up when they can. All right, so what are we looking at here on ES? We are looking at kind of consolidation. It's been, market has been a little bit flat the last couple of days. Volumes starting to trend off. We may be getting into sort of the low volume doldrums of the summer months where there's a lot of both institutional and retail traders and investors taking more and more time away from the markets, which sucks some of the volume out of things. And volume is what we really need to have volatility and momentum and to see moves play out quickly, which is great for options trading. Things have been a little bit kind of on a grind, if you will. If we look at things from yesterday, for example, nice move out of the gate, ran right up to PT2 here on SPY and just kind of sort of slowly consolidated its way down for a back test of the call entry. Gave a little bit of a bounce there, but then we had, war escalating between Israel and Iran, and that has obviously roiled the markets a little bit. And things pulled back going into the after hours session yesterday. Came all the way back down pretty close to our put entry, gave us a little bit of a test there before bouncing coming into the pre-market session this morning. So SPY looks like it's starting to set up for me what looks to be kind of a replay of yesterday's plan. So when we see that, kind of generally speaking, tends to indicate that we are going to see consolidation. We may stay within the broader range of this SPY plan throughout the day today as well. That would not surprise me as markets assess sort of what are the overall risks of tensions escalating between Iran and Iraq. And again, this potentially, if it's not already, I'm sure they probably have declared war between each other. But if they haven't, that's coming very soon. But I'd be surprised if that hadn't been stated yet. It is clearly a war kicking off between those two. So, as we take that into consideration and we look at things again through the lens of ES, I think as long as we're holding this 60-34 level as good support, there's a decent confluence down there with NTS. I think things overall still look like a buy the dip market, but I would say buy more time than you think you're going to need because these moves are playing out kind of like in slow motion. All right, so we've got some people in here. What's up, Navy Plum? What's up, Cooley? What's up, B? What's up, Sam? Good morning in the YouTube chat. Hope everybody's doing well. I'm going to start hitting some of our trade plan recaps while I'm going through these. Please feel free to start dropping your ticker requests and questions in the... Did I say Iran? I'm sorry. I meant Iran and Israel. My bad. It's early. I'm still getting my coffee and I meant Iran and Israel. Did I say... I said Iran and Iraq, didn't I? My bad. Y'all knew what I meant. Okay, so let's get through these trade plan requests, these trade plans that we have pending from our last couple of live streams. And then we'll get to the new requests here this morning. I see Cooley's already in here. Good morning, Cooley. Looking for a plan on Intel. Got a DM from Casey yesterday. I don't see him in the mix. If he shows up, I'll do his trade plan, but not going to do it if you don't even bother to show up in the morning, bro. So Tesla and Intel, we've got those lined up. We'll take a look at both of those for sure. We should have plenty of time for that. And Sam over in the YouTube chat looking for Carvana. So let's see if we can't get through at least 3 trade plans this morning. But let's get through our recaps real quick. Palantir, this one made great moves. This was one of our top tickers that's being generated for us by the Xtrades AI. I did this plan Sunday evening, so we'd be ready to go for yesterday morning. This was a very, very quick move. You would have had to have been watching it pretty much throughout the pre-market session and ready to pull the trigger on this back test of the call entry right out of the gate, because as soon as we opened up, Palantir ran. Let me zoom in on this even a little bit further. You can even see it on the 5-minute chart. And let's get in here a little bit so it's easier to see. So this 140 level essentially being our call entry. We broke above that pre-market, right? We're grinding, we're holding. We get a quick little double bottom on these 2 5-minute candles, back test right at the opening candle, and just absolutely launched to PT2. So this would have been a very, very hard one to catch, but not impossible to catch. You would have had to just been willing to sort of dive in feet first right out of the gates of market open yesterday. But again, we talked about this a lot in the chat about waiting for these trades to come to you, wait for these setups to come to you. I was talking about it in relation to SPY, right? SPY kind of made this quick break above and then just launched up to some price targets and never really gave us a pullback, at least not in the early parts of the day. I was just riding this momentum to the upside. As we get up and we start approaching some of these price targets, at any point we could hit key resistance. Sure enough, that PT2 was basically our high of the day yesterday. We saw it slowly pull back, but what I said in the chat and what I absolutely stuck by yesterday, and to some extent, I mean, it wasn't a huge paying trade, but I'm okay with that. It was really more about just having the patience and letting this trade come to us and letting the setup play out the way we wanted it to. I said very clearly several times yesterday, I was not really too interested in jumping into any SPY trades with that kind of quick move early in the morning. I don't want to chase this move. I want to wait for this to come back and give me that back test of my call entry. If that doesn't happen, that's okay. I don't wind up taking any SPY trades that day. It did come back down and give us a quick test of that call entry, a quick retest of that. I did take a small number of contracts for today's expiration, knowing that I was not going to actually swing anything overnight. And sure enough, it gave us enough of a bounce to where I was able to, in those last 15 minutes that we get on SPY, able to close out for some okay profits. But the point wasn't really about it being a huge win. It was about it was a win, and the win played out, I think, because I waited for the trade to come to me, right? So very same thing. We talked about this yesterday. I see Casey is now in the mix here this morning. Good to see you, Casey. We said, listen, I'm not chasing this massive pump on Palantir. I'm going to wait for it to come back and retest 140. It sure enough did. Unfortunately, it was in the after-hour session, so certainly could have picked this up on shares. But if you're waiting for options, again, this is kind of some of the challenge of trading options is the setups that you want and that you wait for may come to you and play out the way that you wanted them to outside of the cash session, which means you're not able to do anything with options, but certainly means it's a good opportunity to play some shares. And if you did, you're already up close to a couple of bucks here this morning, waiting for that back test to come down to that call entry is absolutely worth waiting for. So kind of a couple of quick examples of that, both from yesterday. So anyway, this Palantir Live, top ticker plan. This one, again, I personally have not touched. I did not take the share entry yesterday after hours because I wasn't watching at that point. I like this a little bit better as it's setting up. Looking at this from the 15-minute time frame, again, we saw that back test right there with the key buying pressure there on NTS. So great confluence there. But you can see how we were overextended off this momentum yesterday, and I want to wait for things to come back and at least test that kind of a setup, getting deep into that bullish momentum with a bullish flag to buy those types of back tests. Now things are kind of tighter and not so overextended as we go into pre-market. So this could look to build another kind of move like this from yesterday, but build it up off the PT1 level. So keep an eye on this one. I think Palantir might try to extend to the upside the way things are looking today. So keep a close watch on it. AMD, this one was an absolute beast of a trade plan. Let's go back and take a look at it on the 5-minute. Again, another one where you would have had to been watching this one closely coming out of the gates and pretty much have picked it as, the ticker that you want to watch and play. Going into the open yesterday based on the trade plan. We started off the day just below the call entry, and then we got our 5-minute close above. Quick back test candle there again. So, within the first 10 minutes of the trading day, very risky times to enter, but sometimes, that's the risk reward of trading and trading options. So we get our break above, back test of the call entry, and just pretty much ran almost straight to PT3. Ultimately is hitting PT3 plus here this morning. So all upside targets hit after a great back test entry setup. Again, the one concern or the one reason to have maybe held off on this trade is the fact that it made that move so early into the trading day. But overall, plan played out exactly the way we wanted it to. And then QQQ, this one gave us a break to the upside, but is pulling back some here this morning. I really like this confluence down here right at 530. What is that actual level? 529.60, where we also have NTS confluence, strong buying pressure down there at 529.60. So I'm liking this one as long as 529.60 holds to play to the upside, and I think better confirmation if we get another break above 532. Oh, excuse me. That came out of nowhere. If we get another break above, and preferably a break above and back test of 532.67 to push higher to the upside. And then we did, this is the Bitcoin Trust. Yeah, IBIT. We did this one on last Thursday's live stream. This one has not given us, where's Thursday? Oh, there's Thursday. No, actually, this one did give us what looks like a good break to the downside, momentum pointing to the downside. Let's see if there's something that would have assisted. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that didn't continue down. Maybe my put entry was off, but I don't think so. That looks like what I would expect to see. So maybe a little bit of a bear trap liquidity grab right down here, out of the gates there Friday. Let's take a look at the hourly chart as well. Yeah, hourly chart looks clean, not really showing that candle closing below. So quick tip for those looking for quick tips. If you're having a hard time nailing your confirmations, or you find yourself getting caught in lots of liquidity sweeps and stuff like that, make sure that you're kind of taking a glance at how these candles are forming across multiple time frames. You can see on the 5 and the 15 minute, this looked like a good break to the downside. Pretty much, confirmed right there on that quick back test. Whoops. And on the 15 minute, let's get back to that spot. Again, 15 minute close below, continuation to the downside. Again, this looking like a back test rejection setup. All of that looks pretty solid to me. Now, where this kicks into your contingency plan as you're following these is when we get this pullback and the test of the stop loss average down. That's your opportunity to fix getting caught in a liquidity sweep down here, and use that to play from, again, that stop loss average down rejection back down to your put entry rejection. So if you got in somewhere on this back test added here, you should have been able to get out for break even or profits. And as you see that bounce, you realize that, okay, that was a liquidity sweep. And while the 5 and the 15 minute look great for that confirmation and entry, if we take a look at this on the hourly, 5, 15, and the 1 hour is the long story short. Those are the 3 time frames I like to look at for confirmation on these things and just kind of get an idea of how legit some of these moves are. And you can see that if we look at this from the hourly, I would have been waiting to see the hourly close somewhere up here, so still closing below our put entry there at about 59.50. And giving an opportunity there. It did not do that. It closed way up here. So, that looked like a liquidity grab, and certainly a really convincing one on the smaller time frames. I certainly would have taken a shot at that downside had I been watching IBIT at that time yesterday. But pulling back up, rejecting the call entry, that's key resistance. We also have good selling pressure on this from an NTS perspective on the hourly chart. So now we're starting to see things break back to the downside. So keep a close eye on IBIT. It certainly has, it's got mixed signals on it, really, if I'm kind of taking everything into consideration. Oh, excuse me, man, more coffee. All right, but overall, definitely a bearish tilt on this one. And then last but not least, the Internet of Things, IoT, which the actual company name that I always forget, Samsara, is giving us a break to the downside. Looks like it wants to continue down further. Lots of bearish notes on this chart. 200 crossing below the 333, adding to that bear case there. So this one looks like it should start to see some downside targets hitting. So keep a close eye on it for potential downside continuation. All right, let's get to some new trade plans and ticker requests. We've got a bunch of stuff coming in here this morning. Cooley wants to take a look at INTC, Carvana, and Tesla, and then KC in here with MA and Mike with Reddit. Let's see how many of these we can get through in the time that we have available. If you guys have any other questions that I can try to answer as I go through some of these ticker requests, please feel free to drop those in the chat. But I think we have probably at this point more than enough tickers to work on for this morning's live stream. So let's dig in. Let's go. And first one was Intel. All right, let's fix this up. This looks insane right now, I know. All right, there we go. That looks better. Let's take a look at this on the hourly. All right, Intel. What are you doing? Just want to see candles for a minute here. Had a really nice run there last Tuesday. Ran right up into weekly resistance, though, and rejected that very hard. All right. Intel, what are you doing here? Clearly a lot of resistance very close to this, that looks like a 4-hour level that I have here. My level's just a few pennies higher than that, but it seems to be rejecting a bit lower. We see it acting as cleaner support there, I should say. This level could be slightly lower. I could make a case for that, but I think we're splitting hairs at that point. So, I do like this area of opportunity. Opportunity. On this break over 2104 to at the least give us another test of 2164. Potentially 2188, but again, I think we're splitting hairs at that point. We do have a weekly level just below at 2026, but to keep our risk reward in good shape, yeah, there's definitely a level that if we fall back below it could be a struggle. We are testing it here. Looks like they're at the end of the after hour session / pre-market this morning. There's a level right there that I didn't have yet. I have it now. That I would certainly use as a stop loss average down for that upside trade plan. I like 2164 right where it's at, and I also like 2218 as a PT2. PT3 is a horse of a different color. That should be, yeah, right about here at 2274. Yep, that's absolutely right, Mike. Thank you very much. I appreciate you covering that question for me, brother. Very helpful. I'll take all the help I can get because I need it. All right, so downside, where does that become interesting? Intel's chart's kind of messy lately. Yeah, I think there's a pretty decent area of opportunity for downside on Intel. If it breaks below this 2001 level, I think we could realistically share a stop loss average down with the upside trade plan. First target to the downside, is this a real level or is this just something that bottomed for some other reason there the other day? Seeing lots of support tests very close to this 1938. Yeah, there's another one. There's a little bit of resistance. That's what I was looking for. And some more support. Yeah, I think this is our first target. So I like that as a PT1 to the downside. PT2, I also noted back here. Yeah, nice bounce off that. Nice bounce there again. So I think seeing some buying happening near that level, some liquidity sweeps below. It might dip a little bit lower, but I think it would be a wise exit to go ahead and take some more profits here as PT2. And then PT3, let's see. Nice double bottom near that liquidity sweep. Let's see if I can get some better confirmation on this before we say, yeah, that's probably the most Intel has as far as downside. It doesn't look like I'm going to get it, at least not anytime recently. Or within the reasonable past. Yeah, I think it's sitting just a little bit above that liquidity sweep right here at 1827. I think that makes for a good third price target. Big bounce off that level last time we tested it. So certainly think it would make sense to be scaling out of the rest of our puts down there at 1827. So that is the upside and the downside plan. Let's get this locked in. We had 21.0. Whoa, golly. Get your fingers in the right spot. 21.04, 21.64, 22.18, and 22.74 with a stop loss average down at 20.51. Get a decimal in there, please. Please. There we go. Put entry 20.01 with targets at 19.38, 18.79, and 18.27. And a shared stop loss at 20.51. So let's fix that. All right, this is what the trade plan looks like. Let's fix that Y offset. That's rather big. Let's try 0.2 maybe. That could be a little tighter, actually. Whoa! Mouse wheel was going crazy there. Probably take it to 0.1, actually. It is a lower, smaller dollar ticker. All right, that looks really good. Let's hide this extra stuff. I don't need that, don't need that, or that, or that. Let's get these levels locked in. And hidden. There we go. All right, let's throw our indicators back on the chart. Make sure there's nothing on here that kind of screams, hey, you missed something. Yeah, nothing that I see here on the hourly. 15-minute, yeah, 15-minute also looks fairly good if we break above 21.04. Potential issue there, but I'm not sure with everything else building up in its favor if we can't push through that, if we get that break of 21.04 that we're looking for. So let's go ahead and lock this in. Here is your INTC live stream plan. Sam getting a kick out of probably my confusion between Iraq and Iran and Israel and Iran. That's what I was trying to say the whole time. I don't know where Iraq kept coming from. Flashbacks to the 90s, maybe. All right. And let's get this posted in the Elite chat so we can grab our link and it's easy for folks to find. Copy message link. Let's get this locked in there. Boom. Let's get this plan locked in for Tuesday live stream plan 1. And let's get our alerts going here. Regular trading hours. Minutes 30. We'll give this a week for alerts. We don't want to flood the chat with too many bot alerts. All right, that all looks good. So let's talk through this one last time, and then we'll get to our next trade plan. We're going to try to get through as many of these as we possibly can this morning. So what are we looking for here on Intel? We're looking for a break above 21.04 with targets at 21.64, 22.18, and 22.74 with a stop loss average down at 20.51. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 20.01 as the put entry with targets at 19.38, 18.79, and 18.27 with a shared stop loss average down at 20.51. Those are your Intel trade plans. Go forth and profit, my friends. All right, let's see. Let's bounce back and forth. I know I've got time for at least two more. We had Carvana from our friends in the YouTube chat. So let's give them a shot at a trade plan here. Carvana, I thought I had. Yeah, I do. There we go. And let's clean this up real quick. There we go. That looks good. Yeah, we don't need you down there right now, trade plan pilot. All right, so what are we looking for here on Carvana? besides a nasty pullback after it lost that key buying support there on NTS on the hourly. Really aggressive pullback, and below the 333 SMA, kind of overextended to the downside. But let's figure out where this becomes interesting for another possible entry. I'm kind of eyeballing this 285.47 level. We bounced just above it there yesterday. Let's go back in time a little bit. Yeah, that kind of looks like we're on to something. And is this the level I was looking at here on the more recent price action is my only other question. It sure is. Okay, yeah, I like that setup. That's a decent window of opportunity. I think that also gives us room down to this level here. It looks like about 263, 260, 65, sorry. Sometimes these labels overlap a little bit. That looks like good PTs 1 and 2. Yeah, with a PT3 somewhere right up in this area, I could have this a little off. That looks a bit, no, maybe even a little bit higher than that, actually. Yeah, right about there at 253.91. So I like those all three as downside targets. That entry was somewhat easy to spot. Stop loss average down. I think we're testing it right here pre-market. They're at 287.86. So that's the downside of this figured out. Where does upside get interesting? I think I like this as an entry. And I like that as a first price target. My only concern is this little bit of a rejection shy of that price target, but at that point, if we get a break back over 298.59, we'll have shaken off this bear momentum, which really looks like what caught that top right there and pushed it further down. So we will be on the bull side of the momentum if we get a break back above 298.59. So I think that gives us the room to play the support and resistance levels up to 306.63. Just kind of quick food for thought or insight into what I'm thinking is probably the better way to say that. Definitely like this gap entry level as a second price target. Third target, this gap is going to fill right here at 318.21. I know I don't have it as a level, but that gap fill is important in my opinion, and tends to see, when we fill gaps, we tend to see a reversal in the price action back to 3.8. So I think that can take us as high as 318.21. Question is, where is a good stop loss for this upside trade plan? I think this is going to show us right here. A little bit of a liquidity grab overhead, so I think the real support and resistance kind of shows itself, right about here at 292.20. I do have a level right here, actually, though. 291.20. I think it is a little bit higher, though. I think it does sit right about here. Come on. There we go. Right about there. 291.90. So we'll split the difference there. Okay. So that is the Carvana trade plan sorted out. Let's get these levels locked in here. 290. God, I need to get my fingers working right here. 298.59. Come on. And then we're looking for 30. God bless. 63. 312.91 and 318.21 with a stop loss average down at 291.90. Put entry down at 281.72 with price targets at 268.79, 260.65, and 253.91 with a stop loss average down at 287.86. So let's pop this onto the charts. Oh, I forgot to fix my, wrong thing. Trade plan pilot. I forgot to fix this. We're not using a shared stop loss average down. There we go. That looks better. And then let's also adjust this. Maybe closer to like 0.5 should do it. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, we could get that a little bit further off those levels so it's not crowding things. Let's pull this over so I can see how it adjusts. Yeah, that looks good. All right, so let's clean this up real quick. Only added one additional level. All right, here they come, your Carvana trade plans. Got that one for our friends over in YouTube. And, whoops, do this here. Yeah, next to Iran. Yeah, next to Iran, but a pretty significant difference there. Thanks for giving me a pass, Trading Dad. I appreciate it. All right, here comes your Carvana live stream plan into the Elite chat. Let's get our message link. Let's get our alerts set up. Let's get this locked in. There we go. Yes. Regular trading hours, alert. 30 minutes. Give it a week. Like we always do. All right, there's our alert set for the bot to let us know when it's time to look at this by sending messages to the main options chat. So what are we looking for here on Carvana? We are looking for a break above 298.59. That should give us targets at 306.63, 312.91, and 318.21 with a stop loss average down at 291.90. To the downside, we're looking for a break below 281.72. That should bring targets at 268.79, 260.65, and 253.91 with a stop loss average down at 287.86. Those are your Carvana trade plans. Let's go. All right. Yeah, Mike, I can take a quick look at Marvel, and if I don't get to it before we wrap up, because I am realizing we've only got about another 5 to 10 minutes left, ping me in our new little inner circle thread. Let's get the group's input on this and give you as many perspectives as we can so we can make sure that we are setting our members up for top-notch trade entries and exits. All right, let's take a quick look at Tesla, and then I'll, at the very least, try to get a quick look at MA. I know you also DM'd me about that one, KC, but the early bird gets the worm, brother. You got to be here bright and early. Whoops, I almost did you a favor. No, I'm going to try to get to it, I promise. All right, let's see, Tesla. It's the car's computer. All right, we don't need that right now. Let's get a look at this. We did have a prior call entry up here that we have struggled to reclaim there at 334.07. We did see a couple of sweeps above. If anything, I think that call entry is a little bit low. I think, therefore I think it really needs to be right about there. Yeah. I think that needs to shift. This looks like just trying to find the stop loss average down level here. Yeah, it very much looks like it's sitting right here. 330.90. Yeah. I know we're limiting our risk area on this one, but I think that's appropriate. I also really like where PTs 1 and 2 are already at from our last Tesla live stream plan. I'm going to leave those alone. Third target, we did hit it on the last run through. Just wondering if there's a case for dropping that down a little bit to 362.67. Let's leave it where it's at. It's a weekly level. That's important to note. The only other thing I wonder, that is a decent stop loss average down, but I think we could give this a little bit more room to work itself out. Tesla's also very volatile, so giving it some extra room to work out I think makes sense. I think we can shift it down a little bit, actually, the more I look at this. Let's not get shaken out of what could be a good trade plan, and Tesla's definitely one where you got to give it some room to work. Don't give it too much room, and don't get stuck in the there's no way I'm wrong about this mindset, which keeps you holding longer than you should and just making those losses bigger than they need to be. Now that was pre-market though. I'm just looking at this little bounce just below the put entry. That is on low volume pre-market hours though. You know what? Let's do this. I am going to make a slight adjustment to this downside trade plan now that I'm looking at this. I like this as the call entry. Yeah, and I would set the stop loss on this right here at 316.97. So this is no longer a factor in the plan. I would also adjust PT2, bring that up a little bit. Third price target, I think at that point, let's take a shot at seeing if we get a double bottom. We did have this as PT3 as our last trade plan. It held beautifully. This was the Elon Trump feud that caused Tesla to just spiral for a little bit there. So I think that bottom is appropriate. Big stretch there to PT3. Just make sure you're chasing the price action by continually moving your stops into profits further and further. All right. So let's get these levels locked in. 330. Golly, I keep doing that. 336.04. 348.27, 355.64, and 365.03 with a stop loss average down at 327.65, downside 309.94, 299.31, 291.21 and 274.71 with a stop loss averaged out at 316.97. Let's go. All right, boom, boom, boom. New levels. Don't need that vertical line or that vertical line or that icon. Probably don't need that trend line anymore either. There we go. That's close enough. That looks solid. Okay, so let's copy this link. And here is our Tesla live stream plan. Flying through them this morning. And let's get this over in the morning live stream channel as well. And of course, in the main, Elite Xtrades chat, that's what I was looking for at everyone. Here we go. Tesla live stream plan. Got our message link. Let's get that in here. Let's lock in the template. Tuesday live stream plan 3. Save, yes. And let's get our alerts set. Last but not least. Minutes 30 next week. All right, so let's talk through this real quick. What are we looking for here on Tesla? We're looking for a break over 336.04. I should say another break over 336.04. To play this for the upside, up to targets at 348.27, 355.64, and 365.03 with a stop loss average down at 327.65. To the downside, we want to break below 309.94. That should bring targets at 299.31, 291.21, and then we're going to take a shot at it dropping hard after that, potentially taking us down to 274.71 with a stop loss average down at 316.97. Those are your Tesla live stream plans, upside and downside. We are ready to go. All right, let me take a quick look at MA. MA is, I think, MasterCard, right? Yeah. No real levels built up on this one yet. That's interesting. I could have sworn I've done a MasterCard trade plan at some point in my life, but maybe I'm wrong. This one's dropping pretty hard, coming back and rejecting the sell pressure here on the hourly. Both SMAs just overhead. This one looks like it could be kind of on the lower side on the volume. And again, we're getting into those summer months now. So be careful with this. Volume's going to be lower than it already is. And I think this is also, it's not one that trades well during the extended hour session. So when I do that, I fall back to the regular trading hours chart. Yeah, it's rejecting this gap entry pretty convincingly. That gap closes right about here. If we take a look at things on a smaller time frame, I'm sure it's right about there at 589.17. So this definitely needs to break above and get into that gap there at 575.46 before this really becomes interesting in any way. I think there's a good stop loss right here at 565.61. So you could play that gap entry up to the gap fill and have a decent risk reward on it by using that stop loss there at 565.61. Is this all-time highs for MasterCard? 594.71. Yeah, it's 52-week high. Is that all-time highs? Looks like it probably is. Yeah, it definitely is. So that's the other thing. I'd be a little bit careful with that. We also do have, so I would not be looking for a lot more. I think that's going to be your best window of opportunity right there on MasterCard. Just a quick take. Playing that gap fill up to 589.17. If you want a downside plan for it, and it'll be a quick one. There's a pretty key shift of support and resistance that's happened several times around this 552.77. I think if you took that entry for a downside trade, I think there's a case to be made. Even though it seems like it's splitting hairs, there's probably a significant difference there. To use this 562.19 as a stop loss average down level. Yeah, and there's a really interesting level right here at 539.71. So just a quick couple of trade plans upside and downside. This one definitely, as long as it's below that gap entry level there at 575.46, I'd say this looks decently bearish. But did recently catch that 333 support confluence right there, so that's to be noted. But here's just a quick chart with some levels on it for you, Casey. At the very least, we could get that done for you for being such a dedicated member of these live streams. So here's some MA live stream. We'll call these levels, not really full plans. So take those, put them on your chart, see how those work out for you, brother. Hopefully it plays out again. I do like that gap fill set up to the upside. It just has to enter the gap before that actually plays out, I think. So, all right, with that being said, we're just under 10 minutes out from market open. I do need to go get the SPY plan put together. So with that, I think we're going to call it a live stream for Tuesday, June the 17th. So thank you all so much for joining me. I will be back Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, as we always say here on the FOMO live streams, trade your plan. Well, golly, I can't get anything right this morning. I need to wake up. Plan your trades, trade your plans. Make sure, remember, we're looking for profits, not perfection. So keep those wins big and keep those losses small. Go out there and get some green. Build those accounts up. And we will see you guys back here Thursday morning at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, this is JT signing off. Take care. Have a great day, everybody.